Hey, y'all need a break. Listen to these stories from our /entitled parents, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Mother emotionally and intellectually manipulates son for years, turns psychotic when she realizes that her throwing the kid out after an argument dooms the entire rest of family. For context, hi. I'm Krur, or as of late Delta Kruger, need to get that fixed. I'm the 27, male-year-old lad of this story. I am considered a high-functioning autistic individual, officially disabled by government standards. My mother for a long time, but especially these past 4 years, has been taking in and managing my checks from the government to keep the household afloat, making use of everything but $100 of it, which often got absorbed in moments of crisis as well since I didn't spend much, and while doing so was sowing seeds of doubt and fear into my mind about ever learning to live on my own, stating I was very far from ever reaching that. I myself didn't really try to struggle or push my way out. Even when I turned 18, she offered to sign me up as a dependent, but I, thankfully, declined. I decided for the good of the family to keep working with them. That changed about 4 years ago. 4 years ago my developmentally held back brain decided to say, oh now it's time to teenager, and I suddenly craved independence, looking every which way for a way to flee gracefully. Every time though there was some unfortunate situation or action that meant that if I left with my 2 incomes, my mother became my personal support worker, which that has its own irony later on. The family would fall apart and I'd be dooming all the animals, some of which were never listed on our lease at the time and were hidden every inspection. Now what happens when you cage a teenager that so desperately wants to be their own thing? They get rebellious. 3 years ago I got a therapist through my state insurance program, and after venting all the hoops my mom was making me jump through, and all the work that was piled on me due to mother's bum knee, and the stupid high expectations of me that would always end up creating screaming matches to her over those 3 years. She finally said to me as of roughly a week ago from this post, that literally sounds like an abuse case. I initially dismissed that and said, I'll keep it in mind, as we ended the call that day, only to then immediately after get chewed out for jumping on a request my mom made earlier in the day as she had requested research for something that'd make another lengthy story. But regardless she basically chewed me out for hounding her in an ill mental state due to current situation despite telling me 5 minutes prior to do the research for her. That's when I went back to my room and texted my therapist to start filling out the paperwork. 1 day later, Mom and I get into another spat, this time about the dishes which were my daily chore. Sure it was assigned to me, but my drive to do crap for her was dead by that point when my effort can be shot down on a whim even though it was ordered. The argument is hazy in my head for many a reason, but the main one is, Mom went feral the moment I snarked like a teen would. She slammed her way into my room to start grabbing crap and hucking it on the lawn, screaming for me to get out, breaking one of my monitors in the process. Dad stepped in and told her that since I was over 18 and on the lease, that I was legally given 30 days notice, which is when she stopped, turned to me, said, well then I'm gonna make those next 30 days hell for you, and walked to her room. Dad let me get the few things she did get on the lawn back inside at that point and I sat down at my chair. Then it dawned on me, she played herself. For years she said that if I went away she would have to get rid of everything, and I mean everything. It was all propped up by my supplemental security income and the income she got being my personal support worker. Well now she had given me and the government valid reason with her behavior alone that even if she rescinded the 30-day notice that we couldn't keep our home anyways. It was refreshing. In that moment I felt courage well up in my chest. She couldn't manipulate me anymore. She fell into what she had made of her life and was blind to my connections I made for years outside the family, constantly slamming them for being liberals. I took that renewed energy to reach out to those friends, those found families, my lovers, and even my grandparents. I looked through my cards and emails and found my disabilities care workers info and told her the situation, and burnt the midnight oil chasing my new life while my mom literally pounded the adjacent wall between my bedroom and her bathroom screaming like a banshee about not hearing me pack fast enough. To keep this from going on for ages I'm gonna be brief on the next few stages to now. Grandparents saw this explosion brewing for years, opened arms and let me take my belongings, and my bearded dragon pancake, in while mother was away on psychiatric care. With my caseworkers' help I got my social security disability insurance under control, I got guidance on what steps to take next, and they're doing research for intermediary places after grandparents. Me and my boyfriend are looking into joining together and living somewhere in Washington, with my found family chipping in as well. As of today, I'm officially disowned from my family. My mother has not only disowned my grandparents, but also forced Dad to as well. I tried to contact them to drop me off the phone plan so I can keep my phone number, and all I got was the statement of disownment and that further contact will lead to a restraining order. I got a special state-related order to have their firearms reclaimed since mother is a psychopath and have my grandparents locking their doors now out of fear. I'm waiting for my case manager to get back to me to have my documents extracted from their residence. And basically all I got to do is play the waiting game, watching my parents burn cause mom pushed all their connections away. Even my brother, who's stoic as all hell, showed he was ready to fly too. So the main thing to take away from this is, learn to value yourself, and judge the words of those even closest to you, for you never know if you're just a pay pig to your own mother. If people want, I can refine those breezed over parts, but that's enough to get the picture. P.S. As I was printing the paperwork to file for the firearm removal, I realized I still had access to the printer back home. It took all my willpower to not print a FU message to it, and instead I just disconnected my PC from the web-accessible printer. Despite blaming me for everything falling apart, she was the one who kicked me out, and I was always taught to not have the last word. Day 2, I have softly realized that if I'm going to be posting an update, it's best to do both a comment version and an addition to the original post through editing. Long story short, the paperwork I filled I just turned in. Got a court time in about 2 hours. Zero court experience whatsoever, so I'm going by the seat of my pants. If it goes well though, my grandparents and I can sleep a little safer knowing that if they get retaliatory they'll have to do it with sticks and stones and not 100% pure American freedom, if you catch my drift. Day 2 Part 2. Keeping it brief cause video planned. Extreme risk protection order dismissed. Judge said I was polite and concise, but officially there was not enough evidence. High bar of standard for that petition. Getting in talks with Grandpa to see if his lawyer can rephrase all this better to the court. Day 2 Part 3. Huzzah! I finished the video. And it only got split in half cause the audio effed up. I'm puppet mastering my in-laws, entitled parents, for the greater good of sister-in-law's child, and it's glorious. I lurk here too much. I don't know if this post is welcome, so please delete if not allowed. My husband and I are estranged from my in-laws. They are all grossly entitled narcissists in various forms. My mother-in-law and sister-in-law are two of most narcissistic, entitled people I've ever been around. Their only goal in life is 1, control, and 2, criticism. They don't care about anyone. They don't listen to anyone. If they decide you're XYZ, then by God you're XYZ, regardless if it has anything to do with reality. After years and years of hating them, trying to plot the perfect way to shame them publicly and generally wishing them physical harm, I've realized from thousands of YouTube videos, you can never punish them because they don't care and they don't listen. But I finally found a way to use their evil for good, and it's been glorious. Entitled narcissist people do not like anyone showing them up. It just so happens sister-in-law's child, my niece/nephew, needs help in this economy. Unlike mother-in-law and sister-in-law, I feel the older generation has an obligation to help the younger generation. My sister-in-law's child has many children. Sister-in-law stole her child's home and got it foreclosed on with fake documents. On top of physical and verbal abuse towards sister-in-law's child. They are god-awful people. After years and years watching various Here's How narcissists work on YouTube, I've realized you can never get even with these people. You can't punish them. Go back to the 2 points above, they don't care and they don't listen. Entitled people don't like to lose. They are so entitled, they will shoot themselves in the foot to be the winner. For the past 2 years, I have figured out a solution to force them to behave and compete. I first told my sister-in-law's child and significant other, they hold all the cards as they have the children. Bam, no more miserable holidays at mother-in-law's and sister-in-law's house. Mother-in-law and sister-in-law have to go to sister-in-law's child's house now. And like the entitled people they are, they will not miss Hallmark Christmas TM. They are also not in control of that house, and sister-in-law's child is amused watching them being polite for a change. I have gifted sister-in-law's child money to make rent, major appliances, and I do a monthly Sam's order for basics, plus $50 tip for whatever else they would like. I do this because I love sister-in-law's child and their family. My bonus is screwing with mother-in-law and sister-in-law. And both have stepped up to the plate. I bought sister-in-law's child a banging expensive Bluetooth appliance set. Mother-in-law and sister-in-law went out and bought a matching set for their house, then gifted sister-in-law's child a refrigerator. Christmas was coming, and in anticipation of my gift, they gifted sister-in-law's child a very nice stove. Sister-in-law stole her child's house. She has committed many bad acts against her child. Her mother was involved every step of the way of screwing over her grandchild. Now I make sure sister-in-law's child is taken care of in this economy. Mother-in-law and sister-in-law do not like that because it makes them look bad. I love making them look bad because sister-in-law's child wins every time because I'm not allowed to look better than them. Parents demanding to skip line at a restaurant because they're parents. This happened a few months ago, but I stumbled across this sub on a video, so I decided to share this story. Me and my sister, 20 male, 20 female, We're traveling together to this small touristic town in the southern region of our country. One night we wanted to go to a restaurant. We didn't know how popular it was and it was kind of crowded when we arrived. So there was a line to get in. There were maybe 8 people/families in front of us. We decided to wait anyway because we had time. It was raining, and the line wasn't exactly inside the restaurant, but it was in a covered area, so it wasn't raining on us or on anyone else in line. Say about half an hour later, there were 2 people in front of us, and maybe 3 or 4 behind, when a couple arrives. The husband is holding a toddler and there's a little boy following them. They stop, look at the line, look at each other. The wife picks up the toddler and immediately goes up to the lady in charge of the line, demanding that she lets them in. The lady asks if they have a reservation. She says no. She then tries to explain that without a reservation they can't cut the line, for obvious reasons. Then the wife goes, "Don't you see I have a baby with me?" Me and my sister were watching all of it and we saw the husband pushing the little boy so he would stand next to his mother. Then she goes, "I have 2 kids with me, you have to let us in. There's no other families with children here, they can wait." The lady very patiently repeats what she had said before. The mother doesn't stop. "It's raining on us." "It wasn't, my kids are going to get sick. If my kids get sick it'll be your fault. You have to get a table for us and let us in right now." Then she called her husband, and he started repeating the same things she was saying. That they had the right to cut the line because they had kids, the kids should be prioritized over the adults in line, kids were hungry and were going to get sick, etc. They eventually left, complaining and cursing the lady who was just doing her job. I don't blame the kids for the parents' behavior, but it wasn't a nice scene to watch and it definitely was an awful example for them. Eventually we were able to get in and the food was really good, so at least our night wasn't ruined. Thanks for watching. Do you have any similar stories to share? Don't be shy and drop them in the comments below, then like and subscribe for more Reddit videos.